Welcome to Conflict News 24. Today's bulletin includes stories mainly from Russia-Ukraine conflict. Firstly, Russia seems to have drawn a red line in Donetsk and Luhansk. On Luhansk-Donetsk border, Russians have launched a major counter-offensive to stop Ukrainian offensive ongoing for around 3 weeks, which led to serious territorial losses for Russian forces. Now, a counter-offensive is being launched by Russians. Details for you. Secondly, viewers, we have been updating you about mobilization of Russian and Belarusian forces on Belarus-Ukraine border. Ukraine has also deployed thousands of its troops on Ukraine-Belarus border, and it is being speculated that an military offensive from Belarus could be launched by Belarus and Russia towards Ukraine, towards Kiev, Ukrainian capital. We have some clips for you showing movement of Belarusian tanks, air defense systems towards Belarus-Ukraine border areas. Thirdly, viewers, this week a resolution is going to be tabled at UN General Assembly, and before that, Russia and Ukraine, we can say Russia and US, they have started their lobbying efforts. It's a contest between Russia, China, and rest of the world. The resolution is against referendums held by Russia in 4 zones of Ukraine: Zaporizhia, Kherson, Luhansk, Donetsk, and Western powers, US, want this resolution to be passed at UN General Assembly session. Lastly, viewers, on Thursday, a meeting between Turkish President Erdogan and Putin, Russian President, is due to be held. Can Turkey do it once again? Turkey mediated grain deal between Russia and Ukraine more than a month ago. After that, grain exports started from Ukraine to the rest of the world. Now, Turkey is trying to find some sort of common ground for Zelensky-Putin meetings. Firstly, viewers, Russian forces have launched a major counter-offensive on Luhansk, northern Donetsk border. Russia, I think, is drawing a red line that from here, Russia will not allow Ukrainians to continue their military offensives. Ukrainian forces around a month ago launched a major counteroffensive in eastern Kharkiv. Then in northern Donetsk, Ukrainian forces have captured large territories, and now Ukrainian forces are starting to enter Luhansk from eastern Kharkiv and from northern Donetsk. Ukrainian forces are trying to enter Luhansk, and 2 main cities of Luhansk, Severodonetsk and Lysychansk, are under threat. They could be attacked by Ukrainian forces in coming days. Before that, Russians have launched a major counteroffensive towards a key town in northern Donetsk, Lyman. Lyman was taken by Ukrainians just around 10 days ago, and Lyman was a stronghold of Russian military in northern Donetsk. And after Lyman, Ukrainian forces are now trying to move towards Crimea, and to the west of Crimea, thousands of Ukrainian troops were deployed to make a move towards Crimea. But Russians have started a major counteroffensive from Crimea towards Lyman, and unconfirmed reports are being shared that Russians have retaken 3 towns, 3 small settlements in northern Donetsk, on northern Donetsk Luhansk border. You can see Ternay on this map. Secondly, Toxe can be seen as well to the east of Lyman. And to the north of Ternay is Novosedove. These three places reportedly have been retaken by Russians in the last 48 hours. Though we are waiting for visual confirmation. We don't have any pictures, videos to confirm that Russians are in Ternay, Toxe, and Novosedove. They retreated from these three places around a week ago, around 10 days ago. Ukrainians entered there, visually confirmed. Now Russians are trying to take back these territories, and the purpose is to stop Ukrainian offensive from northern Donetsk, from eastern Kharkiv towards Lugansk. So let's see. It's difficult to predict the outcome of this Russian counteroffensive, but obviously Russia is left with no option but to launch counteroffensives. Otherwise, Ukrainians are making rapid gains in eastern Kharkiv, Donetsk, and now they're starting to enter Lugansk as well. Secondly, viewers, for the past few days, I have been updating you regularly about deployment of troops on Ukraine-Belarus border. Both countries, Belarus and Ukraine, are accusing each other that the other side is going to start a provocation in border areas. Ukraine says that Russia, Belarus are planning another attack on Ukraine from Belarus, like it happened in February this year when the war broke out. Belarus says that Ukraine, backed by the West and NATO, is planning an attack on Belarus. But what I can say is that Russia and Belarus could launch a small scale offensive on Ukraine from Belarus. The purpose is to ease some pressure on Russians in eastern Ukraine. In Donbass, Russians have lost large territories in eastern Kharkiv, northern Donetsk, and now in Luhansk as well. So Russians are under pressure there, and now they want to open a new front from Belarus so that Ukrainians will have to redeploy some of their troops from eastern Ukraine to Belarus-Ukraine border. So that could be one of the reasons behind Russian and Belarusian moves to start an offensive, military offensive on Ukraine from Belarus. Let's see. So far, we are seeing mobilization and movement of troops. Belarusian troops are being deployed to border areas on Belarus-Ukraine border, and movement of military equipment is also being seen towards border areas. Iranian kamikaze Shahed drones have also arrived in Belarus reportedly. Russian troops are being sent to Belarus. We have two clips for you showing tanks and air defense systems on their way towards Belarus-Ukraine border. So preparations are there. I don't think that Ukraine is going to attack Belarus. Ukraine is not in a position, it is not interested in opening new fronts. It wants to liberate its own territories. Russia, Belarus are planning an attack on Ukraine from Belarus. Watch the videos from Belarus-Ukraine border showing mobilization of arms, movement of arms towards border areas. Thirdly, because this week is a very interesting week because a motion is going to be tabled at a session of UN General Assembly this week. The motion is about condemnation of what Russia did in eastern Ukraine a few days ago. Russia held referendums in eastern Ukraine. In Luhansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhia, Kherson, Russia organized referendums rejected by international community. And after the referendums, Russia announced the annexation of four zones, Luhansk, Donetsk, Kherson, Zaporizhia. Russia claimed that the residents of the four zones, they voted in favor of joining Russia. So now the four zones, part of Ukraine, have been annexed by Russia, like Russia annexed Crimea in 2014. A resolution is going to be tabled at UN General Assembly session this week, which will be put to vote. A resolution is going to be tabled by Ukraine's backers, and now Russia and the West. Russia versus US. They have started their lobbying campaign. Russia wants to stop this move, this resolution from being passed. Ukraine and US, Western countries, obviously they want the resolution to be passed. Dmitry Kuleba, Ukrainian foreign minister, I think he visited some African countries, then he cut short his Africa visit, and now he is holding virtual meetings with some African leaders. Why? Because African continent supported Russia in earlier UN General Assembly sessions, UN Human Rights Council sessions, and Ukraine wants to convince Africa that Africa should not support Russia at the upcoming UN General Assembly session. Russia is demanding secret vote. Russia says that countries are under pressure. US, West are putting pressure upon countries to vote in favor of this resolution. That is why Russia is demanding secret ballot. But I think vote will be open, not secret ballot. So this week, very interesting. Let's see which countries support Russia and which support Ukraine, backed by US and West. I'll update you in coming days about this resolution. Lastly, viewers, Erdogan is trying to be a peacemaker, a deal broker between Ukraine and Russia. On Thursday, a key meeting is due to be held between Erdogan, Turkish president, and Putin, Russian president. Erdogan played a key role in facilitating grain deal between Ukraine and Russia around 2 months ago. After that, Ukraine started exporting grain to the outside world. So it was a breakthrough which was facilitated by Erdogan of Turkey. UN Secretary General agreement was reached in Turkey. So, and we were seeing that after that, Erdogan remained in touch with Putin. Though Erdogan is supplying drones to combat TB2 drones to Ukraine, Erdogan opposed Russian referendum in 4 zones of Ukraine. But at the same time, Erdogan stays in touch with Putin. So perhaps he is the only world leader who can play a role in the resolution of this conflict. And a few days ago, Mevlut Çavuşoğlu, Turkish foreign minister, said that Putin was considering a meeting with Zelensky. Though Zelensky, before referendums, said that if referendums were held, it would be an end to peaceful solution, to the prospects of peaceful solution to this conflict. Referendums have been held. Now, Erdogan is trying to facilitate some sort of direct engagement between Ukraine and Russia. That is why on Thursday, a key meeting in Kazakhstan is going to be held between Turkish and Russian presidents. I'll update you on Thursday about this meeting. Thanks for watching.